Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we're here for what I believe is the 40th Writer's Quote video here in the Writer's Quote playlist here on the channel. Look, I've been doing a whole lot of work on the poetry discussion playlist. I've been doing a whole lot of work on the short story discussion playlist. I've been doing a whole lot of work on the opening paragraph playlist. So if you like this sort of thing, you should check out all of those playlists on the channel as well, because I trust if you were here for the 40th installment of this video that you were here for Writer's Quotes. Today's Writer's Quote is another excerpt from The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. This comes to us from the day which was known as January 15th. This subtitle for today's entry is "Peace is Staying the Course." Now, what we have here is we have a quote from Seneca, and then sort of a moralization. What did we learn here from the authors of the book? And I want to read both of those things and talk a little bit after that. Seneca, from Moral Letters, gives us, "Tranquility can't be grasped except by those who have reached an unwavering and firm power of judgment. The rest constantly fall and rise in their decisions, wavering in a state of alternately rejecting and accepting things. What is the cause of this back and forth? It's because nothing is clear, and they rely on the most uncertain guide, common opinion." This comes to us from Seneca, again, in Moral Letters. And the little moralization of that quote for January 15th in the Daily Stoic. In Seneca's essay on tranquility, he uses the Greek word euthymia, which he defines as, quote, "believing in yourself and trusting that you are on the right path, and not being in doubt by following the myriad footpaths of those wandering in every direction," end quote. It is this state of mind, he says, that produces tranquility. Clarity of vision allows us to have this belief. That's not to say we're always going to be 100% certain of everything, or that we even should be. Rather, it's that we can rest assured we're heading generally in the right direction, that we don't need to constantly compare ourselves with other people or change our mind every 3 seconds based on new information. Instead, tranquility and peace are found in identifying our path and in sticking to it, staying the course, making adjustments here and there, naturally, but ignoring the distracting sirens who beckon us to turn toward the rocks. This is something with which I struggle. This is something that, so there's two things I think going on here. Peace is in staying the course. Tranquility can be grasped except by those who have reached can't be grasped except by those who have reached an unwavering and firm power of judgment. I think there's two levels to this. Number one is the individual writer's judgment over his or her acumen, over his or her projects, over the things that over the things on which he or she is working. That judgment over the self and the projects and whatnot. The second level is not being talked out of things because people around you think being a writer is silly. There's a huge dichotomy in society between seeing the writer as this ultimately flawed but incredibly interesting person and seeing the writer as just a weirdo who's wasting his or her time scribbling in a notebook. And I think a lot of that distinction falls on one's level of publication. Maybe not even just publication, but whether or not one makes money on that. So in my life, I live in Kansas City. Kansas City is in the show me state. Kansas City is the most show me part of the show me state, I think. I've been to other parts of Missouri, and no one is quite as skeptical as Kansas Cityans. So, for example, when I went out to get my master's degree in creative writing, I lived in St. Louis. I lived in St. Charles. People from St. Louis will tell you that's not St. Louis. People from St. Charles say, yeah, we're in St. Louis. But when I went out there, I said, people would ask me, what are you doing here? What are you getting your education in? I would say creative writing. And they would say, oh, like to write books? Yeah. Yeah, more or less that's the idea. Here in Kansas City, if I tell anyone that I have a master's degree in creative writing, they say, oh, well, what are you doing with that, asshole? You know, is one of those things. And I think that's incumbent upon the fact that I am not a full-time writer, right? That's, and it would be very easy. It would be very easy for any of us. All of us have those people in our lives. It would be very easy for any of us to go ahead and succumb to that. It would be very easy for any of us to decide, you know what, they're right. I'm just scribbling in a notebook. But tranquility is found, as Seneca tells us, in deciding, no, fuck you. Tranquility is found in deciding these things that we're writing ultimately are worth it for their own merit, for their own sake, and to their own end. On the individual level, I think these questions are necessary in our own writing, in our own writers' lives. I think that all of us will get to a point with a project where we understand and decide, look, this project is not fruitful. This project is something for which I have not the tools. There are many projects half finished in my notebooks because I understand at some point I just don't have the tools to complete this project and make it what it is. On some level, I'm missing something. And I think that's important also to be able to recognize. So in one's own writer's life, the ability to question it and come to the right conclusion. Is this project worth me being unwavering? I'm working on one now, which is a novel-sized project, which I don't do. Not a novelist. Can't do it. Just not it. But I'm going to finish this one. By God. I'm going to finish this novel. I'm going to redraft this novel. And I am going to find the key irony in this novel. I am talking myself out of talking myself out of it. Because for me, at this point, I'm approximately 73 years old, and I don't have finished novels, redrafted finished novels, or published novels. And if I don't start finishing them, I will not have those things. So regardless of the merit of the project on which I am currently working, I have to find all the nails, drive them in, and then I'm going to go back and add some finishing touches to the deck, right? I'm going to go back and put a house on the deck once I get it done, if that is so necessary. Meaning, if I write a novel that is pretty worthless, I'm going to find an intrinsic value to it and add it to that work. So that is what staying the course, peace is staying the course. That is part of what that means to me. And like I said, it works on two levels. From our authors here, in Seneca's essay on tranquility, he uses the Greek word euthymia, which he defines as believing in yourself and trusting that you are on the right path and not being in doubt by following the myriad footpaths of those wandering in every direction. It is this state of mind, he says, that produces tranquility. There are 1,000 different directions that any of us could go at any given time but we have to use our best judgment all along the path. That is all that I have this video for the 40th writer's quote in the series, and I hope to see you back. Maybe a poetry discussion next week. Maybe an opening paragraph. Maybe a short story discussion. But I hope to have you back for all of those. So if you're here by chance and not designed, consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you like this sort of thing, it really does help me out here on the channel if you go ahead and decide to hit that like button. And again, I hope to see you back next time.